I invite you to play a game with the devil, where the devil is your ego that doesn't know if it's of light or of darkness and wants to play a game. Please remember that feminine and masculine energies show up within a reading. Whether you are feminine and or masculine bodied, you may resonate with either of the messages. And to remember that past, present, and or future energies could come forth of vibrating of resonancy. To use your discernment to take all of that which belongs to you and to leave the rest behind. There's someone who's active in the political agenda, whether it's you're actually a politician or someone who knows someone who is a politician or follows someone who is a politician. You're active in knowing the consciousness battle within your own construct of understanding things through the political lens. So it's most often compared to having one versus another, because to be able to politicize anything is to be able to compare or contrast between two different variables, or to find two contrasting variable of one subject. Okay, it's basically light versus dark, negative versus positive, the push and pull, the seesaw. So some of you are intellectual and coming up to the conversation, what it means to be part of that fast-paced inquisition, perhaps, knowing how to have, being privy on the language being used if you're a politician or someone who writes for politicians in that regard, having to be, quote unquote, careful on what is said and how something could be said, or swaying a certain agenda or motion, or even an emotion with a certain vernacular tongue, and all that is that Seven of Swords fucking energy. It's deception. It's taking the truth and saying, here's a little bit of truth, here's a little bit of truth, here's a little bit of truth, and here's a little bit of truth. So now that we have different variables of truth, this is the truth. Not necessarily that true, though. It becomes complex because the version of what someone holds as truth could not be the truth of another person. So now there's honesty. The honesty factor is that maybe that person has been hurt and the other person has been hurt. That's the honesty factor. But the truth of the honesty factor of how someone got hurt might be completely different. Someone might have been abused emotionally and to receive that hurt of knowledge, and the other one might have been abused sexually to understand that hurt of knowledge. That's where truths start becoming very complex and be like, all right, everyone has their same level of truth. How do we get to the bottom line of what the truth is? The world has been ricocheted with echelons of time and agenda, motives, national pride, inability to have pride, religion indoctrination, religious blasphemy, being exiled, not being deemed good enough. There are so many degrees of how also institutions have made it very known that there is a good and then there's a bad. And here you go, human, go figure it out for yourself. And it's confusing. It's confusing to self-maturity of trying to understand that as a being that comes in not knowing anything about remembering what life is supposed to give while you're experiencing it, is then in need to have certain examples set in front of them, and some of those examples may not be good one, and that individual doesn't learn that until they face the politics of life that is then in the eyes of 1,000 billions of other people, and trying to make it make sense. Technology has bridged a gap that now my problem over here of one landmass might be the same problem over another landmass, but we may never be able to step foot on each other's landmasses due to other political schemes of rulings and justifications, which is ironic to the whole agenda that, oh, if I have availability to be able to go, shouldn't I be able to go? Shouldn't there be no restrictions? Why are there restrictions in being able to go certain places and not allowed to go to other certain places? Why have there been wars fought between that same idea of how they want the people to be free, or how we're going to prevent the people to feel free? It's fucked up. It's fucked up either way you want to look at it. It's hard to tap into, say, universal energy and say, where is the fairness of it all when it's so divided? It doesn't become easier. So hence why the devil has been born. The devil has been born in the echelons of time for people. The devil has been born into the minds of people. And over time, we've taken that construct of thinking that, oh, it's negative? All right, so I'm going to place everything on the negativity of the devil. And then, oh, the things I can give excuse in because I just don't have any other answer besides seeing and knowing it and having it to be what it is. Oh, that's God? Is it God? Wait, is God and the devil the same? Do they come from the same place? And that's where the devil gets to have fun, because it's like, ooh, wait a minute. You don't believe in the good in all things? Well, good for you to not believe in good in everything, because there is things called bad around us. The devil makes you entertained with that knowledge. The devil makes sure that you pay very close attention to the bad around you. Call it fear. Ooh. Depending on wherever you are to this reading is where you may then resonate with the fuck, that shit hurts. Because you might believe in ghosts, might not believe in ghosts, might believe in paranormal activity, may believe in paranormal activity, may hate needing to address your emotional insecurities, but put yourself in the crossfire of anything fear antagonizing. AKA somebody might love haunted houses and love the adrenaline of fear, maybe even roller coaster rides and just the dark side of life. But when it comes to then addressing the emotions, then why can't you address that fear? It's a fickle game to play with your intuition. But your intuition has fun. Don't get that twisted. The intuition is just the intuition. Whether you understand how to develop your own relationship to the intuition of how right it's trying to be without ever being right, but just always being just is what it is a childlike innocence attached to the intuition that as the intuition grows with the maturity within the vessel of a human being as they age, is like, well, I got used to over time not being heard, not being trusted. But I've accrued a good relationship with the devil because I can convince you that that is a good idea. I can give you resistance. And some people are so afraid to look resistance in the eye. The Queen of Wands here is looking at the resistance, at the deception, at the Seven of Swords, and says, I see you. I see you, and I am a queen and I see you. Feminine or masculine. I see you. And as I see you, I can also speak in seeing you and call you up. There's no shame of my doing so. The devil has no emotion because humanity is too busy trying to figure out whether the devil has compassion to having emotion or not. Does it even give a shit? And now the devil has comprised itself to having a uniform of a monotonous tongue to it and tonality to it, saying, nope, I don't give a shit because I I love too much to give a damn. I love too much to give a damn. Imagine that. When would that ever come into one's own psyche? Nope. I love too much to give a damn. When they're washing their hands, when they know that whatever it is that they're trying to say out loud or do will be absolutely void. It would not make any sense to address anything externally to what it is that they internally know. The devil speaks beautifully in silence. Hence why those that don't understand how silence operates blame a lot of things on the darkness. For those of you that are afraid of the dark or afraid of the sounds that come from the darkness of the whispers of potentially the silence that creeps up in the darkness. Because you're then left with feeling, because there's not so much light distracting you. Love is in the air, but it's not the love that is tied to a sacred union. It's not a love that's tied to whether you believe or want to assume that there can be unconditional love or not. It is called light. For this light is so powerful and so withstanding on its own that nothing impure can get close to it without burning away. However, the light that it illuminates on thus everything else, even the darkness that is trying to cast itself over it and disintegrates, all gravitate towards it. because they want what they cannot have. They want what they see as a possibility in another. Their emotions tell them that they should go fetch what another person has. If that resonates, that's your ego. And your ego doesn't know it all. Because what your emotions are failing to do is telling you it's you and your own problem. So that's where love is in the air with the Wheel of Fortune. Someone received this ringing in the ear. People are forgetting about ascension symptoms. Symptoms that come organically to an organic body without it being sedated with supplements, poor diet consumption, or the blasphemous behaviors of others. There is an organic earth vibration out there for the grabs. And it's up to you as the King of Pentacles to figure out if you're going to hone yourself into that earth vibration and tap into it. Some of you love the unconditional love that you have with the full representation to the pet that you may own. Why can't you have that with yourself? And why do you feel that if you can have it with yourself, that you can't reach that with another individual? Is it because you want to blame whole of society for something that we individually can't do? Well, yes, absolutely. We're totally going to hold a society that says we're going to take you, X variable, and make everything beautiful you and spit you out as a successful being, a successful human being. We know that has not been true. Can you believe in unconditional love without needing to be hungry to need it to be validated or not? Because earth energy here, temperance energy, has all of that, which it is that you need. Can it also be that unconditional love? Because unconditional love does not mean that you do not come with needing to fix thyself. Unconditional love means that you understand the conditions that are met with needing to compromise in any situation that you're in at any given time. The devil makes sure that you hurt, because hurt is what a lot of people sometimes chase in order to understand how change is possible. Some people imagine that, believe that hurting themselves physically is giving them the notion to feel alive. The irony of checking themselves, wanting to remove themselves from a situation. It is a failure of humanity for humans to still feel left, capable of feeling so alone. It is a flaw of society's system. The sun illuminates all. The sun is that light that reaches everything, and anything standing impure in its way will have no sense of vulnerability for the sun that's too busy glowing for itself. You might be affected by standing in the crossfires of the sun glowing and illuminating itself. Whether it goes away for a time period of the ticking of the time of the clock or not, it's always around. Because what it doesn't do in the light of day, what it does and performs in the night of all our shadows. Yet in the light of all our shadows, we forget the power of the sun. We forget what it's like to be illuminated by the varied degrees of what can offer us warmth and shelter, maybe even nice tan skin. Yet stand in it too much, and in fragile skin with a fragile immune system could get skin cancer. Is that the flaw of the sun, or is that the flaw of you? And if I say, not as in I as in who wants to offend, but I that sees, that to take ownership of how the responsibility is yours is just how much your responsibility can be alleviated to offer you a pain relief, the temperance card. There's relief that can be found in chronic pain. There is relief that can be found in chronic pain, starting with you. All right, I shall leave the messages where they are. I ask that you consider subscribing to both of my channels. Links can be found in the description box below, and also how to either make yourself available for a consultation, how to book a reading, or how to receive healing sessions from me wherever you are in the ether of this time and space, for I am a master healer. I'm wishing you a wonderful morning, noon, or night wherever you are in the ether of this time and space, and may you keep flowing, growing, and glowing. Take care.